Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video. A little bit of a CCP early sneak peek at the new champion's abilities. So we're going to be talking about Airwalker and Dragon Man, the brand new characters coming to the game. So I'm going to upload both of these breakdowns at the same time. So you can choose which one you want to watch first. Come back to, if you want to go watch the Dragon Man one first, go ahead, go watch that. Come back to this one if you'd like. If you'd like to start here, go ahead. Airwalker is a Cosmic Champion, and Dragon Man is actually a Mystic Champion. So, if you're more interested in one of those classes, make your choice. But if you're already here and you're going to stick around, let's get into this video. So, Airwalker, a herald of Galactus. He's going to be coming to the game August 13th. And so he's going to be the first champion coming between the two for next month. So about Airwalker, if you didn't already see the video, we talked about Airwalker a little bit. It's comic book history. He was a Nova Corpsman, and he then became a servant of Galactus. And he has a really cool bow and also a horn to call Galactus. That's what we talked about a little bit. And some of those abilities might be taking place, so it should be pretty cool. I'm very excited to see this character's special attacks. But before we get into that, a couple of numbers here for everyone that wants to know prestige. So here's his prestige. We have 13,660 for a 6-star rank 3, 10,630 for a 565 signature level 200. These are both pretty good. It puts him at number 5 in the Cosmic class for 6 stars and for 5 stars. Number 5 in both of them, actually. Checked on AMA. So his prestige is pretty good. Top 5, that's always good. Again, I said he's Cosmic. Some of his basic abilities are the Power Cosmic Dark Tide, which is a brand new debuff coming to the game, Armor Break, and the Power of Galactus. So honestly, this guy has one of the coolest and most unique set of abilities that I've seen in a while, and I'm very excited to see how they translate in game, because on paper I'm getting a really good vibe. Strengths, power gain, and fighting power control opponents. Weaknesses, nullify. He's really, really weak to nullify. If his buffs are going to be nullified, it's a very bad matchup for him. And also debuff purification. So anyone that can shrug off his Dark Tide debuffs, it's going to be a bad time for him. So the following stats and abilities are based off of a 565 5-star champion, just to keep that in mind. So right off the bat, his combat offensive power rate is decreased by 40%. Airwalker makes up for this by gaining power over time through the Power Cosmic. So I don't think it'll be too much of a worry. I think his power gain is actually going to be pretty insane, like on the level of Hyperion and Arcus, once you get him ramped up. So this is his main thing, the Power Cosmic. That's what you get from Galactus when you're a Herald. So it's persistent buff and a max of 3. So for each having just one of these, this is the effects that one of them gives. Gain 3.5% of a bar of power every second, 900 armor rating, 264 attack rating. Airwalker starts the quest with 1 Power Cosmic buff, which persists between fights. He gains 1 Power Cosmic buff when he wins a fight. So you have to win a fight to get one. So after you win 2 fights, he will be fully ramped up and just an absolute behemoth. I'm thinking. Just speculation. Haven't played him yet, but that's what I'm thinking by reading this on paper. So when Airwalker has no Power Cosmic buffs, he will gain 1 after a 7.5 second cooldown. So if they get nullified, so let's say you have 3 of them, and they all get nullified, in 7.5 seconds, you'll get 1 back, not 3 back. Just I asked for confirmation on that. So you only get 1 of those back, but it's good just so you will get 1 back eventually. If it's not like at the start of the fight, if the buffet triggers, you lose them all, and you can't get them ever back. It's nice that they do come back. And then the special attack 3 can only be used if Airwalker has 3 Power Cosmic buffs or is defending. This is crazy. The only thing we've kind of seen like this is kind of like Terrax, after he throws special, his power becomes gray and then he can't throw other specials. These are new champions that aren't just the normal special 1, special 2, special 3. There's something a little bit different. And with this gets me really excited. So this is the developer note here. So Airwalker needs to win 2 fights before he can use his special attack 3, but the effects it gives him are absolutely worth the wait. Power Cosmic is also powerful in its own right, granting him a very noticeable amount of power over time once Airwalker has 2 or more of them. So once you win 2 fights with this guy, you'll have access to his special 3, and let's go take a look at the special 3, because it is insane. We'll scroll back up and keep reading. But so the special 3, once you have access to this, you use the special 3, Airwalker replaces Power Cosmic with, so you're just going to get rid of all those buffs, all 3 of them. with the power of Galactus buff for 20 seconds, granting 2600 attack rating. That's pretty beefy attack rating. Regenerate about 5000 health, gain 10.5% of a bar of power every second, gain a passive unstoppable effect, and every attack has a 100% chance to deal an additional burst of direct damage. The damage is equal up to 5% of the damage dealt per Dark Tide on the opponent. And it's very easy to get to 10 of these and convert them then to a passive, which counts as 10 towards Airwalker's abilities. So, 5 times 10 is 50. So you'll be able to deal an additional 50% of damage through that if you have the passive on the opponent, which, like I said, is not that difficult to get. So you're just going to be an absolute beast with this active, man. And once you get this, once you win your 2 fights, you build up your persistent charges, you can keep using the special 3 as many times as you want. The only thing is you can't so ask for confirmation on this. So you can't use it, because there's power gain here. You can't just use it, get you another one, and just keep it active forever. It has to expire, and then you have to rebuild your power to a special 3, and then use it again. So, which is fair, because if you could just stay like this forever, that would be pretty crazy. And then power of Galactus sets Airwalker's power to 0 when it ends. So, like I said, you have to rebuild back up to an entire special 3. But when this effect ends, you get your persistent charge buffs back. So you're going to gain your power cosmics back, 3 of them as well. So that's good. So, it'll still be pretty easy to build your power gain up. And a developer note here, after spending a few fights building Power Cosmic, Airwalker is able to unleash the power of Galactus. This buff has a laundry list of effects, but one to pay a particular attention to is the power gain. It's equal to the amount of power he would gain from 3 Power Cosmic buffs, so the power Galactus won't cause him to lose out on all the power gain he gets from charging his heavy attack. And charging his heavy attack is a very interesting way to get additional power and to get a fury buff, to get an unblockable buff, all this stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. Let's go back to where we were. So we had just talked about the Power Cosmic. So now let's talk about the Dark Tides. So when Power Drain, Power Locked, or Power Burn inflict 3 Dark Tide debuffs. This isn't going to play too much importance, when you're using him. It's going to be more for when you're fighting against him on defense. This guy sounds like he could be a potentially very annoying defender. So developer note here, important to note that this doesn't include power steal effects, so various Mystic champions will be able to bypass this ability. I'm looking at you, Dr. Doom. Now, Dark Tide debuff, max 10. Dark Tide debuffs reduce block proficiency by 87.5 during the opponent's special attack and last indefinitely. Champions suffering from both Armor Break and Dark Tide take direct damage every 0.5 seconds. This damage is equal to 2% of their opponent's base attack per Dark Tide. Opponents remove 1 Dark Tide debuff every time they feel a bar of power or whenever the Power Cosmic is nullified. Dark Tide debuffs are the core mechanic of Airwalker's kit, as noted below. The main way to apply them is through special attacks. Once they are applied, any armor break will cause the opponent to take damage over time. The reason for this peculiar wording of the damage is that if the opponent champion happens to carry the Dark Tide into future fights, this damage will be recalculated based on their new opponent. So these is a cross-fight ability, kind of like how, when you're fighting Mr. Fantastic and you use too many special attacks against him, it carries over into the next fight. So this is like that with those Dark Tide debuffs. So the Dark Tide, passive crossfight, max 1. So when the opponent has 10 Dark Tide debuffs, they are combined into a passive that lasts for the rest of the fight and the next 2 fights they participate in. The Dark Tide passive counts as 10 Dark Tide debuffs for Airwalker's abilities, so 10. So that's why I said that extra 50% when you're in that super crazy Galactus form after the special 3. And also gain additional effects based on the opponent's class. If the opponent has Dark Tide passive, Airwalker's 4th light hit refreshes 2 armor break debuffs on them, which is crazy because these armor breaks are extremely potent. They're the same potency as Sorcerer Supremes, which are 2100 armor rating, minus 2100 armor rating. And to put that into perspective, Medusa's Armor Shatter is minus 2500 armor rating. So these are some very potent armor break debuffs, which I'm very excited to see the damage output on. So note, Airwalker gains a variety of abilities after converting 10 Dark Tide debuffs into a permanent passive. Also, since this crossfight ability, his opponent needs to be very careful when fighting Airwalker on defense, since they can win the fight and still walk away with the Dark Tide passive applied to them. Also, since the Dark Tide passive counts as 10 Dark Tide debuffs, Airwalker won't apply any more Dark Tide debuffs. I keep wanting to say Dark Side debuffs once the passive is in place. So Yeah, so I think he's going to be a real nuisance on defense, but it's looking like Dr. Doom should be pretty good for him. But now the heavy attack. So this is going to be the main way of playing him. It's kind of similar to Storm Pyramid X, where when charging the heavy attack, you want to let go and drop a special attack. So when charging a heavy attack, increase ability power rate by 300%, and heavy charging can be held for an extended duration. 75% of any power gain while charging is lost over 0.75 seconds after the charge stops. If Airwalker fills a bar of power, he gains an unblockable buff for 1 second that is paused during special attacks. If Airwalker activates special attack, he gains a fury buff during that special attack, increasing attack rating by 1760, which is a pretty beefy fury. So basically the rotation, it's going to be charge, parry, if you can stun the opponent, charge your heavy attack, get to a special 2, you'll get an unblockable buff. Just don't let go of the heavy, just tap the special button, you'll be unblockable. The unblockable buff is paused now because you activated a special attack. Break through the opponent's block if they're blocking, and then you're also going to activate this big fury for the duration of the special attack. As soon as the special attack ends, the fury will be gone, but you'll be able to get off some really beefy specials with this, and then you pair this with the whole attack rating from Galactus, and also you have an unstoppable passive effect as well. And also all that power gain. You can just keep cycling this, and you also gain increased power gain from charging the heavy attack. So this just sounds like a pretty crazy rotation. I'm very interested to see the damage output. Now, another developer note here. Airwalker gains significant benefits from charging his heavy attack. The increased ability power rate will improve the power gain from the power cosmic, allowing his power to rapidly increase, while he will lose most of power gain once the charge is done. If he activates special attack during the heavy charge, special will use that power instead, and Airwalker won't have power to lose. He also gains additional benefits for canceling his heavy into a special attack. By default, he will gain a fury buff for the duration of the special attack. But if you cross the power threshold while charging heavy, it'll also mean an unblockable buff for the duration of that special attack. And now why this is also useful is because when you use special attacks, this is how you apply the Dark Tide debuffs. Now, the amount of Dark Tide debuffs you apply is increased for more buffs that you have. So let's count buffs here. Unblockable, that's 1. Fury buff, that's 2. You start with 1 power cosmic buff, that's 3. So now when you use a special attack, if the last hit isn't blocked, apply 1 Dark Tide debuff to the opponent, so that's 1, and an additional 1 for each buff on Airwalker. So you can get that up to like 5 without too much of a problem. You can get this even higher with synergies. So 5 Dark Tide debuffs just from 1 special attack. And then 2 special attacks, that's 10. Boom, there's your passive. And also, activating special attack, armor breaks the opponent, reducing armor rating by 2100 for 11 seconds. Stacks up to 8 times. And remember, you can refresh these by ending a combo with a light attack. So with all this power gain, all these specials, all these armor breaks, all that attack rating from Galactus, I'm seeing some pretty good potential here, man. After you build him up, win 2 fights with him, he seems pretty crazy. So yeah, let's keep reading. Developer notes, special attacks are the main way Airwalker applies Dark Tide debuffs. Important to note that he'll apply them both if the attack hits and if it misses entirely. The only way for his opponents to avoid them is to block the last hit. Since he applies 1 for each buff on him, his power, cosmic buffs, fury buffs, and unblockable buffs will all help him stack Dark Tides faster. Special attacks are also how Airwalker armor breaks the opponent, which is necessary to trigger the damage component to Dark Tide. So yeah, if you're fighting him on defense, you're going to want to block the last hit of his special attacks, which I don't know what they look like yet, so that could be another nuisance. And then so the special attack 1, Cosmic Flame, the last hit has a 50% chance to inflict a stun debuff. The chance is increased by a flat 50% if Airwalker is unblockable. So you can get a guaranteed stun on the L1 if you heavy loop prior. So that's cool. It's going to be the rotation for the special 1. And special attack 2 is the Bow of Gabriel. If the opponent has Dark Tide passive, this deals an additional 40% of the damage dealt as a burst of energy damage. Special attack 2 is the name of the game once the Dark Tide passive has been applied, and since the bonus energy damage is relative to how much damage was dealt, it'll benefit from both the Fury buff that Airwalker triggers through heavy charging and the armor break debuffs that he can apply. So I'm just seeing some tremendous damage output potential with all these special attacks. It's looking pretty good. We already went over the special 3, which is crazy, but again, you do have to gain 2 persistent charges first. And then here we have the Dark Tide. So this is the Crossfight class effect. So for tech, it reduces the duration and potency of power drain, power lock, power burn effects by 70%. Mutants reduces defensive ability accuracy during special attacks by 33%. Skill critical rating is reduced by 592. Science non-damaging debuffs have minus 25% ability accuracy. Cosmic buff potency is reduced by 50%. And Mystics, there's no effect because they resist Dark Tide. So yeah, once the Dark Tide passive is applied, it gains additional effects depending on the class of champions applied to. These effects are also crossfight, so they persist alongside the Dark Tide passive, even if the champion defeats Airwalker. So you don't want to finish a fight against Airwalker with that passive on you, because that's going to be stuck with you for the next 2 fights. And then we have the signature ability here, inflict a Dark Tide debuff on the opponent every 8 seconds. Developer note, if Airwalker has his signature ability, he'll apply Dark Tide debuffs over time, putting extra pressure on the opponent to get rid of them before they convert it into Dark Tide passive. So I think this will be important on defense. I don't think this ability will be that relevant on offense because with your buffs, using special attacks, it shouldn't be that difficult to get to 10 to form the passive. So this really shouldn't matter offensively, but defensively, yeah, this will be annoying because then you'll have some more Dark Tide debuffs that you want to get off of you. And then as far as synergy goes, he has a really good one with Silver Surfer and Terrax here. So a crossfight ability, the first fight Airwalker participates in grants him an indefinite precision buff, increasing critical rating by 450 for that fight and the next 2 fights he participates in. So this is really good, just that, it's more crit rating, which is great. I assume on his specials, you're going to want to crit to do more damage. But this is just really good because it's an additional buff. So just having this buff on him is going to allow him to apply more Dark Tides off his special attacks and form that passive even quicker and easier. So that's really cool. It's important to note that the synergy grants precision buff, so it'll be included when determining how many Dark Tide debuffs to apply to the opponent via Airwalker special attacks. Right. There's also a synergy with Nova, which gives whenever a Dark Tide is placed on the opponent, 30% chance to place an additional one. So having this both of these synergies, you could honestly apply a passive Dark Tide with 1 special attack if you got lucky, which would be pretty crazy. And then this gives Nova reaching 75 Nova charges, refreshes Nova's Fury buffs even while at maximum stacks. I haven't played Nova in a long time, but I think that is good for him. And then here we get a synergy that heavy charge increases ability power rate by an additional 150%, reduced by 50% for each persistent power Cosmic Airwalker has. The reason why, so once you get to 3, this won't really be doing much for you, but it decreases the potency as the fight goes on, but is designed to give him a leg up in earlier fights before he ramps up his power Cosmic. The added power gain rate will help let him more easily cancel his heavy charge into special attacks until he gains enough power Cosmic that doing so is easy. And then the recommended Fury Masteries are Despair, with the Dark Tides and Armor Breaks, and then Enhanced Fury, because you're going to get that Fury buff to make it even stronger. So, yeah, I am pretty excited for Airwalker, man. I'm very excited, and since he's coming first, he will be in the next 6-star featured pool. I have a Cosmic T5CC, so potentially get this guy as a 6-star. I'm excited, man. I really like just the idea of, you got to build him up in 2 fights first, and then you have access to this crazy special 3. And I feel like, in the first teaser art that we saw for this guy, he had his horn, and in this, it's called the Herald's Call. So, I already speculated this. I think he's going to be blowing that horn, calling Galactus. Galactus going to pull up in the special 3, just imbue him with power, with the power of Galactus, and I feel like it's going to be a super cool looking special. Maybe Galactus will hit the opponent too. That'd be cool. But then you just get so much a crazy attack rating. You just passively unstoppable. A nice bit of regen, 5k. It's not bad. And more power gain, you'll be able to just drop specials off within this 20 seconds. You can also still utilize the heavy charge to get the Fury and get your specials unblockable. And I'm thinking what you could be able to do is, because you can't use another special 3 while you have this active, so what you could do is charge a heavy attack, right? Gain power up to a special 3, and then just let go with a special attack but it won't drop a special 3, it'll drop a special 2, but then afterwards you should have a bar of power left, so like it'll should be that much quicker to get to another special 2, and I feel like you'll just be able to drop so many special 2s in this area, and you're going to be getting 50% direct damage if you have a Dark Tide passive, plus you do direct damage with the L2 40% already, so you're going to be like able to double your attack just about with extra direct damage on top of whatever damage you're already doing. It sounds really good. It sounds really good on paper, so I'm very excited to play this character. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the breakdown on this dude. I'm definitely hyped. He's looking pretty good. It's about time we got a really good cosmic champion again. It's been a while since we've had a really, really crazy one. Hope this guy delivers. But that's going to do it for this video. Drop a like if you did enjoy. And again, you can go watch the Dragon Man one if you'd like. I also going to be making a video talking about the next update that's coming. So if you want to find out more about that, go ahead and check that out. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.